Hello, my friend, and welcome to our tea time. Today's tea time topic is self-compassion. Now, I have talked this week about the full moon of release and Mercury going direct, and I've spoken about how we must forgive and forget our own trespasses against ourselves and against others. And today, one more piece of advice to get you through this Virgo season: the idea of self-compassion. Now, I have to be honest here. I never heard anywhere growing up that we were supposed to be compassionate to ourselves. I actually learned this the hardest way when it was pointed out to me that I was basically treating other people with more compassion than I was treating myself. And I basically realized from a spiritual sense that one right doesn't make the other one right. In other words, you can't call yourself compassionate if you're going around being nice to everyone and in the background being a mean slave driver to yourself and self-critical. Yesterday I spoke about letting yourself off the hook and forgiving yourself for the past. But going forward from that point, you must adopt a self-compassionate approach to each moment. Now, I'm sure I know what you're thinking right now. What the hell is self-compassion? Okay, that's what I thought in the beginning too. Well, first of all, the idea of compassion is that we are, in an empathetic way, feeling. Part of compassion is that you feel the other person. You feel where they are. Compassion is an emotional thing. It's not an intellectual thing. You feel where they are. And part of being compassionate is when you feel where they are, you don't try to change who they are. You don't try to change the direction of where they are. When you're compassionate, you go along with those feelings. You go along with what that person needs emotionally in that given moment. And if you're truly a compassionate person, you don't care what the price is or what it will take or whatever, because you can feel this person right now, in this space-time moment, needs to feel this, and you can feel that they need to feel it. Now, I know the church and organized religions all over the world have spoken to being compassionate to others and always focused on being compassionate to others. But never did I see love thyself, be compassionate to thyself over and over again. And I think part of this was a control mechanism for us to suffer, and I think it was a bit of a brainwash for us to suffer, and I think a lot of us fell for that suffering. But once I actually started applying compassion to myself, which we're going to talk deeper about here in a minute, I found that my compassion for others doubled and quadrupled. The more I was aware of my own pains and where I had suffered, the more I was compassionate to my needs, whether or not they were at a baby level or at an Einstein level. It doesn't matter what level my emotional needs were at. But when I was compassionate to my own needs, I found that I was far more compassionate to others. I really felt them because I had taken the time to feel me. And so because I had taken the time to feel me, I really understood and could feel where they were, to the point usually of tearing up and going along with their feelings, getting kind of pulled into the journey. So what does self-compassion really mean in a practical Taurus sense, since I am a Taurus? Well, I'll give you kind of three things to think about. First of all, compassion cannot come without getting an emotional temperature reading of where you are. So you have to ask yourself, how does this make me feel right now? Okay? A lot of people will hear bad news like, oh, Judy's quitting, and boom, they get really mad and how can she quit? Doesn't she know how valuable she is? That's the mind running off, running off, running off. Hold on a second. You just heard that Judy's quitting. How does that make you feel? It's very much what you would be asked in a psychotherapy session. How does this make you feel? And so you have to first know how you feel before you can be compassionate to yourself. So a lot of people want to skip to the solution, try to find the answer, try to blame someone. That's their ego talking. Finding the answers, their smartass. All this, they want to learn from it. That's their Jupiter. All those are tactics of avoiding and not being compassionate. Compassion is, how do I feel? I feel angry. Okay. You feel angry that Judy's leaving. That's the first step of compassion. So the next thing of being compassionate is basically identifying with yourself. Okay, I feel angry. And with compassion comes non-judgment. It's okay I feel angry. It's okay I'm mad at Judy. It's okay I feel angry about this. That's okay. Remember, compassion is going along with the feeling, not trying to change it. Because the feeling will have resentment that you tried to change it. And then you have more of a mess on yourself. And then you get into more of an argument. So basically, for self-compassion is you have to ask how you feel, and it has to be totally okay that you feel that way. And I remember when I was learning to be compassionate for my anger. I mean, my anger was so anti-Sensei. I had violent thoughts and all sorts of stuff. And the only way through it was for myself to go, it's okay you feel this way. It's okay you're this angry. It's okay. And actually, the more I said it was okay that I was angry, the more my anger subsided and started to lessen. So after you have identified how you feel and you've gone along with it, like, hey, it's totally okay you feel this way, then the next step of compassion or self-compassion is there any way right now that you could lessen the load and take some of this load off yourself's back right now? Any way you can lighten the load. So you're mad that Judy has left. How can I lighten this load right now? Maybe we should go home early right now because emotionally this is too much for us to deal with, that we're losing a key employee. Maybe we should go home. That would be a way to lighten the load. You'd feel better if you could just go home, wouldn't you? You'd feel better maybe if you could put this off till tomorrow. Maybe you'd feel better if you took a couple days to think about it. So one of the things we don't do is we don't really add the level of self-mercy to our compassion. And self-mercy is the part where we lessen the load. We take the sentence off our shoulders. We look for the easier way out. So compassion is taking the burden off of the victim, taking the pain away from the person, which means I'm not only going to identify that I'm angry, I'm going to identify that I need to do something right now to lessen this load, to give mercy upon this soul, my own, in this moment. So when you are self-compassionate, you have to ask yourself, what can I do right now to lessen this load? And then lastly, what do your feelings need in support of this moment? So basically, we've already lessened the load. We've already identified that we feel angry and that it's okay that we feel angry. What do our feelings need at this moment? What can I do to support my feelings? My feelings may just need to vent. My feelings may need to bitch, so I'm going to call my girlfriend and we're going to bitch about it. And I'm going to bitch and mess what my feelings need. My feelings may just need acknowledgement from myself that it's okay. My feelings may need to go on the treadmill and run for a while to get this anger out of me. So part of self-compassion is not only identifying how you feel and not judging it, but then asking yourself, how can I lighten the load and how can I be of more emotional support to myself? What do my feelings need to feel better? Now here's where the smartass comes in, your mind. Oh, you can't do that. You've got to be at work tomorrow at this time. Oh, you can't do that. You've got to do this. Oh, this isn't what you promised. Shut up, smartass. That's my response to myself. Shut up. You know what? The compassionate thing to do for me is to do this. I'm going to do this. And let's see if it gets us into trouble. And you know what ends up happening? I would say 99.9% of my life. The truth is it's probably 100, but I feel a little maybe cautious not to say 100. But when I take the self-compassionate approach, whatever it is my mind was bitching about or warning me about or whatever turns out to be wrong. In fact, I'll go ahead and take the compassion. I'll go home early. And my mind was saying, if you go home early, you won't get this and this done. Well, little did your mind know that when you showed up the next day feeling like 100%, you whipped out that report in 20 minutes. And you didn't need to stay the full 2 hours being mad at Judy. You got it done in 20 minutes. Why? Because you were compassionate to yourself the night before. So, my friend, I encourage you as we move into the very, very real realities of Virgo consciousness, that your approach to yourself is self-compassion. And here's my challenge to you. Let's see if you can be self-compassionate until the sun moves in to Libra. Let's see if you can do that. All right, friend. Well, remember, I am away with family right now, so there will not be a Friday Live tomorrow. But I will be back for your weekly Namaste Today that will be released on Monday, September 11th. And I remind you that I have a personal Sensei service that will give you these kind of loving, gentle reminders all day long, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Give it a try at SeriousJoy.com. Until then, remember I love you, and to live, love, be.